Scotland get the job done over Italy. Bonus point win. 33 points to 20 at Murrayfield. This is the last of the three games that I saw. This game happened to be on at 3:15 in the morning here in New Zealand, which is slightly too late to stay up for. Slightly too early to get up for. So I managed to maintain all social media silence. So I didn't look at the news. I turned the radio off. Yes, I still have a radio. And I did not know the score before this game. And I'm kind of glad I didn't know the score, because this is a game that if you saw it, you probably got more value out of it than just kind of seeing the score at the end. But yeah, thankfully for me, they didn't mention the scoreline in this one in the Ireland-England game at all. So I went into it totally fresh. And yeah, the scoreline only shows a 13-point difference, 33 points to 20, 5 tries to 3. But if you look at the times on those tries, it tells you a fair bit about the way the game went. The Italians did open the scoring with a penalty in about the 9th minute. But, yeah, Finn Russell's cross kick to Kinghorn in the 11th or 12th minute set Scotland up with the first lead of the game. And then that was it for the rest of the game. They missed the conversion, but it was 5-3. Kinghorn got his second on 21. That was kind of a change of direction from the scrum, so that was converted 12 points to 3. It was a slight hint of a forward pass in that one. I suppose it would. It kind of depended on which camera angle showed it, and perhaps which camp you're sitting in. If you're an Italian, you probably look at that and go, it's blatantly forward. If you're Scottish, you probably look at it and go, it's just flat. Kind of make your minds up. It's one of those 50-50 calls. But yeah, that's the way it finished at halftime, and it was, I guess, relatively quiet. It was a bit messy at times. The scrums just kept getting reset and reset. It was interesting that the ref was kind of keen on free kicks a lot of the time rather than penalties. I suppose there's kind of good points and bad points about that. But yeah, given the weather was just it looked so nice, I suppose the game could have been a bit more free-flowing, but we did get that in the second half. The second half had a lot more points scored from both sides, and yeah, just some very, very silky skills. So I mean, Hogg went into for his try from a little Russell kick through, and Russell in this game just really had so much time on the ball. It was ridiculous. The commentators on my feed kind of mentioned it as well, that when he's in the red zone, he's just able to do so much, even if it looks like there's that little on. And that really was kind of apt way of putting it. Like, he's just... The guys don't want to commit to trying to tackle him, because often when you commit, that's when you open up an opportunity. But if you hang off him, you're giving him more space. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't with him. And the Italians kind of paid for that at times when he was just given a bit too much time and space and was just able to set things up. So Hogg got his try. It was only fingertips on the ball. Kind of credit to the touch judge, the Japanese guy, he called it. I think it's Kubo, whatever his name is. He called it and told Luke Pierce that's a try. He still checked it. He still TMO'd it. He gave it, and then he's like, oh, I looked at it at the screen, I'll TMO that. But TMO was like, no, it's all good. It's a try, and it was. Fingertip is enough to get the score. So, yeah, that was 19 points to 3. Kinghorn got his third try. Bonus point, so hat trick for him. Bonus point for the team. At that point, it's kind of job done. It's looking a bit too easy. The Scottish are dominant. Like, in that first half, the Italians didn't really look like busting the Scottish line at all. And in the second half, for the most part, it was the same. I even made a note that there's like no attacking threat from the Italians, and then I had to put a little addendum on that towards the end, because that did change. But not until about the hour mark. So, yeah, Harris got his try on just after the hour. Again, Russell with too much time. Hogg made a break. 33 points to 3, and it was just totally one-sided. Italy hadn't really been in it, but that, I guess maybe the knowing that your game's lost and there's less pressure on, the Italians did finally manage to get some ball inside the Scottish 22. Started going through some phases, and those phases were able to win some penalties, and they got enough penalties in a row to get Bergen, who got yellow carded, just kind of a team thing. They'd been warned, and then the Italians had a maul, gave away another penalty, and he was yellow carded. And this is the ultimate example of capitalizing on perhaps two things. One, the team being down a man, and also kind of having switched off a bit. I mean, 33 points to 3 ahead. You've already got the bonus point. The game is won. It's normal for guys to perhaps not play as hard as they were. Gregor Townsend is not going to be happy with it, but that's kind of what happened. So Palazzani got his try from about 5 meters out, and Tipoldi hadn't ended up playing in this game, so that didn't make the Italians' job any easier. The fact that he went off, I think it was right in the warm-ups before the game, but they got this try, 71 minutes. Then Padovani got his try, some good hands. They missed the conversion, 33-15. And then Esposito got his try again. They missed the conversion. Makes it 33 points to 20. One try away from getting a losing try bonus point. And again, one try away from getting within the 7. So, converted try. Yeah, not quite enough in those last 10 minutes from the Italians. But they certainly looked better in the last kind of 20 or 15 minutes than they did at any other point in the game. But again, you have to question how hard were the Scottish guys going at that point? Had they already kind of semi-checked out? Because it happens to all teams. It's just a human thing, you know. Once you've already got the game won, sometimes you switch off. I mean, sometimes you put teams to the sword, but this is one where they switched off a bit. So, yeah, Hogg was denied a try for obstruction. Perhaps if they'd got that one awarded, they would have gone on to score 50. You never know. It did look like the Italian guy who was kind of moving towards him and then ended up bumping into one of the Scottish runners did make a bit of a meal of it to make it look more like he was obstructed than he actually was. I don't think he would have got him. Hogg was flying. But yeah, it was denied a kind of legendary try, not to be. The stats for this game, Hogg, well, if I go for team stats first, run meters was 448 to 421, so it doesn't look that bad for the Italians. Scotland had less possession at 46%, but more territory at 53. If you look at the first half, though, Scotland had 57% possession and 70% territory. So the Italians were really offering not a whole lot in the first half, but again, the score was only 12-3. So Scotland definitely sharper in the second half, even if they didn't get it in the stats. Penalties conceded, though, Scotland 11, Italy 4. Maybe that's a work on again with next week in mind for Scotland. Tackling percentages both pretty high, 87%, 85%. Individuals, like I said, Hogg 131 run meters is a pretty massive number. He had 4 clean breaks, 4 defenders beaten, 2 offloads, 1 try and 1 try assist. I think on most days that's a man of a match performance. Russell as well had a couple of try assists. So yeah, there were a lot of outstanding performance from Scotland in this one, but any guy who gets a hat-trick is pretty much always going to get man of the match, so that was Kinghorn. Giordini had 18 out of 20 tackles for the Italians, which is good for a guy his age and for his 100th cap. A good shift, even if it was a loss. Gilchrist for Scotland, though, won better with 19 out of 20 tackles, so again, a pretty good effort. Yeah, there were a few odd moments. I mean, McAnally got penalised for cleaning out a guy on his knees when it was kind of, he was in the way and perhaps should have been moving out of the way. There was nothing stopping him from getting out of the way, but he didn't. But yeah, Hayward had a few moments where he had to clean up for the Italians and did, for the most part, a pretty good job under a lot of pressure. But yeah, the scoreline really doesn't reflect just how dominant Scotland were for 65 minutes of this game. They probably could have won by more, and if they had managed to, I guess, hold a bit better during that yellow card period, they could have limited the Italians to a lot fewer points. But from an Italian point of view, I mean, good on the guys for still wanting to score points right until the death, even when the game was pretty much dead and buried. So they could have just rolled over and stayed on 3 and just seen out the minutes and perhaps been beaten 50-3, but they didn't. They scored 3 tries. They showed a bit of fight, and they were only 1 try away from a couple of bonus points. So yeah, not their night, not their afternoon, but hey, it was a pretty entertaining game. As I said, Scotland never really looked like losing it, but yeah, I think both teams are definitely going to need to improve next week. But having seen all 3 games now, I think we can probably say that about pretty much all the teams, and surprisingly, England probably looked the sharpest. I mean, France was sharp for 40, Wales were pretty sharp for another 40. Ireland definitely need to kick it up a gear, and Scotland in that first half were okay in terms of keeping the Italians out, but they really didn't kick off until that second half. But hey, you guys let me know what you thought of the game. How do you think this sets things up going forward? And yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.